Welcome to Superstitions, Traditions, and Definitions. I'm Kristen.
And I'm Carol.
And it's Am I the Asshole Historical Edition Day.
Woo.
It's my favorite.
You love it.
I do.
You love all the research of whoever did whatever to whomever. And
people act up so bad.
Sometimes they do. And you're just like, what were you thinking?
I know. That's my favorite part.
Dude, what were you thinking part?
Yes, living vicariously, I guess. Through the naughty.
So you don't have to do all of the sketchy shit that people did.
Right.
You can just...
I don't have to traumatize my children by making them sleep under a golden box that contained their father's hearts.
That's rather cryptic.
That was one of our...
I know. Yeah.
Or... Billy exists.
Billy does not exist.
He does.
He did not exist.
He's out there.
Nope.
He's probably dead now. But
I hope so.
You know.
Yeah, you're wrong.
Thanks to those goat testicles, Billy exists.
And the goat ovaries.
And the goat ovaries.
No. Billy did not exist. It was all lies from the beginning of our podcast.
Not lies. Billy existed. He was on the pamphlets. His little baby picture.
More lies.
On the pamphlets.
No. Anyway, get on with today. What are we doing today? More lies?
Something totally disgusting that's going to make you run away and cry.
I don't know.
I know, you didn't run away and cry after goat testicles, so...
Or the Victorian children who were all murdered.
Oh, that was
pretty bad. Yeah, I didn't run away. I just sat here and thought nasty thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Said some bad words.
I did. That's not uncommon, though. Oh, what are you laughing about?
I am not going to confirm or deny that is uncommon.
I'll confirm it. It's fine.
It is.
Yeah, not uncommon.
Not uncommon.
Exactly. What are we doing today?
All right.
Let's get to it.
We're going to talk about Charles Hatfield.
Was he one of the Hatfields and McCoys? Did he pack heat?
He packed something.
Is this about porn? I don't want to hear it.
You know how much I love the porn.
Yes.
Always talking about porn.
Such a slut. Anyway, Hatfield, not part of the Hatfield and McCoy lore. Is that it?
I don't know.
You're not going to say. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Read your words and let's see what you got.
All right.
Okay.
Am I the asshole for accidentally flooding the city of Sandiego?
Oh. Let's hear what you got. Let's hear what you got before you trick me into voting one way. Because you like to.
When have I ever tricked you?
Please. On almost every Am I the Asshole. Almost every one. You try to get in there with some, no, you and your trickiness.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do. So just go.
Record the facts.
No.
I was fascinated by pluviculture.
Which is?
It was like a precursor to...
Pluviculture?
Pluviculture.
With a V?
Mm-hmm.
Pluviculture.
Yeah.
Okay.
A precursor to cloud seeding. Like the study of making water.
Okay.
All right. I was fascinated by pluviculture as a teen and began conducting my own experiments as a hobby.
Okay.
I worked as a sewing machine salesman to make ends meet, but my passion was weather.
I was going to say, that's kind of a stretch from flooding San Diego.
I mean, you do what you got to do.
Selling yourself a nice Singer sewing machine to some sweet lady who needs to make curtains.
Curtains are a need.
Sometimes. Anywho. He liked weather.
He did.
But he sold sewing machines.
Yeah.
Okay.
It happens.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes.
In 1902, I perfected the mixture. 23 chemicals that would attract rain, and it was foolproof.
1902?
1902.
Okay.
In 1904, I hired a promoter, placed ads, and began my career as the moisture accelerator.
Okay.
My fee was minimal at first, $50 to $100, usually paid by ranchers in Los Angeles or Yukon. I stayed local. In 1915, I was offered the job of a lifetime.
Okay.
San Diego City Council offered me $10,000 to attract enough rain to fill the reservoir. I got
$10,000.
$10,000.
Nothing to sneeze at.
No. I got to work as soon as the fee was worked out, and on January 5th, 1916, it began to rain. The area had been experiencing a drought, so I made my secret mixture a little larger and stronger than normal to ensure there was plenty of rain to aid the community.
Whoops. That sounds like a mistake.
Aha.
Okay.
There was. It didn't stop raining for nearly 2 weeks. And not just sprinkles. It poured from the sky.
Oh, Lord.
The rain finally stopped on January 20th. And I'll just say the area had plenty of water.
From the 5th to the 20th. Okay, well, all right.
Yep,
let's continue.
A couple of days later, it began raining again.
Okay. Were they not beleaguered enough at the weeks of rain?
I guess not.
Okay. Need more.
Mm-hmm.
Mercy.
And it continued through the first week of February. The rain was devastating. The city was completely underwater.
Sure.
Bridges were wiped away, and 2 dams, Sweetwater and Lower Otay, collapsed.
The dams collapsed?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
The homes and roads were destroyed. 22 people perished.
Oh, no.
And the city refused to pay me my fee.
Oh.
Unless I were to accept liability for the nearly $4 million the flooding caused in damages.
You keep the $10K. We're good. Oh my God. You know, he probably could have got paid if he just told him, look, I'll just keep making it rain. You either pay me to stop.
Right.
Or, you know, I'm gonna take my 23 ingredients and just mess it all up.
23 ingredients.
Am I wrong?
I mean, that's what I would have done.
Yeah.
Now you can pay me to stop.
Yep. But it'll be more money because you should have just paid me to begin with, and then not threatened me with the $4 million that our plan created. He wasn't in this by himself. It's not like he just went out there and whipped up some stuff and thought, you know, here, offering to the rain god.
I fought for my money the city owed me, but it was of no use. Finally, in 1938, the courts declared the rain was an act of God, not an act of me.
So this was 1902 to 1938?
1916 to 1938.
Well,
he began in 1902.
Okay, 1916, 1938. Still a pretty long time.
Yeah. Which absolved me from liability of the damages, but also meant I would never be paid.
Oh, no.
I continued receiving work for rainmaking, but the Great Depression slowed business. In total, I had 500 successes, though most didn't give me credit, claiming I was a darn good weather prophet.
Okay, prophet like money or profit like you could tell the future?
Tell the future. He wasn't profit because they didn't pay him.
Well,
his big job.
Maybe he went other places and they paid him.
Most places did pay him, and his fee went up to about $1,000.
Well, they were supposed to pay him $10,000.
They were supposed to pay him $10,000. That was
what was his normal fee was $50 to $100.
Yeah. It started out $50 to $100, and then the normal fee worked up to about $1,000 by the time he ended his career.
With his 23 herbs and spices.
With his 23 herbs and spices.
Just like the Colonel.
Mm-hmm.
Except he didn't, make tasty chicky. He just
made devastating, right?
Devastation.
He made devastation. They said with the dam collapse that downtown Sandiego was under 5 feet.
Holy cow.
Of water.
Oh my God. So, I mean, the fact that he made his batch bigger than he would have needed to.
I mean, that all depends on whether or not you believed he could make it rain with
23 herbs and spices. Well, I mean, I'm going to say that he probably had some effect.
Right.
You know, maybe there was rain coming to this drought-stricken area of California. Anyway, I kind of doubt it. But, you know, whatever he did, he
did well.
He went all out.
He went all out.
Mercy.
With his 23 herbs and spices. I remember one of them was dynamite.
Jesus Christ.
And nitroglycerin.
Oh, so he blew up nitroglycerin.
However, he never disclosed his secret recipe.
Oh.
Just like Colonel Sanders.
Took it to the grave.
Yes, he did.
Took it to the grave. Okay.
The rest of the herbs and spices are secret.
So we know nitro and dynamite. Okay. So, I mean, we're down to 21 now.
Yeah.
Now we got to figure out that many more. What on earth? Okay.
He would take
I mean,
galvanized steel vats.
Big trash cans. Okay.
Climb up to the highest points in the area that needed rain.
Up a big hill.
Up a big hill on buildings.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah.
Sometimes
too.
on the roof of buildings.
Gotcha.
Mix his herbs and spices.
Concoct.
His concoction. It would evaporate. And the rain clouds would smell it and come running.
Okay, so that's how he got. I wondered if he filled shotgun shells and just, you know.
I like that idea better.
Well, you wonder how are you going to get that up in the clouds? But I guess if it's going to evaporate and take all of the herbs and spices with it.
Let's go back in time and suggest
not
filling shotgun shells.
Okay.
That could be fun.
That could be fun. If he had dynamite, it may be hard to throw it that high.
Yeah.
I could throw.
It might depend on what else was in the herbs and spices.
I'm sure it did. Could you get it all into the little shotgun shell?
Is it going to safely dispel from the shotgun and not blow you up with it?
Probably not.
There are things that need to be considered.
You gotta, for science.
All in the name of science.
Get out there and get it.
Go.
Let us see if that shotgun's gonna blow up on you with your weather concoction inside of it. Come on.
3 weeks of devastating rain.
Did he not have a dry out plan? Did he not have a bucket that he could put a bunch of crap in and make it stop raining?
Terra cloth, something.
Throw a bunch
of
towels
not
out
have
there.
A giant blanket you could throw over the city? Soak up some of that water.
Cat litter.
Dump
the cat litter and it'll all just
a whole collection of those little silica packets.
Yes. That could help.
It could help. But no, he did nothing to help.
No, he just stood there and watched it rain. Feeling pretty good about himself, I'm sure.
All successful.
Look at that. I'm going to make all that dough, 10K, come to Papa.
You figure, I guess, $10,000 worth of rainwater, that's a lot.
That is quite a bit that he never saw the money for.
He did not. They were quite upset with him by the time it was all said and done.
They reneged on, their agreement with him, but, and he didn't count on $4 million worth of damage. Of course, they didn't either.
They just wanted a little bit of rain
not to pay him
to fill the reservoir back up so they could have some water to drink.
They had water.
And then they got plenty.
Yeah, too much.
Way too much. Can you imagine?
I can't.
Breaking so much water, it busted through dams.
I can't fathom it. And it just kept coming after your drought. You think that dry ground would be enough to soak up that water?
5 feet. That's like up to my nose. That is a downtown San Diego was a swimming pool.
Indeed.
Crazy.
So is he the asshole, or is it the city that hired him? And what became of the 22 people who died? What about, I mean, was there ever any...
nothing became of them if they're dead.
No shit.
I hope they got buried.
They might have got just washed out.
And there's a possibility.
And maybe there were more than you even knew. Maybe there were more than the 22.
Possibility too.
You know,
that, I mean, it knocked out houses, roads, railroads, bridges. Like, this flood was devastating.
You just wonder about their families.
Uh-huh.
And if it was like, okay, there's 22 people, was it like whole families?
Right.
That were killed? I mean,
that I don't know.
How sad.
If it was like 2-3 houses knocked in the entire family, or if it was just sporadic.
A person here and somebody over there. And
I know that it wasn't until the dam broke. There were no lives lost until the dam broke.
Oh, okay. So the flooding didn't do it, but the dam breaking did.
Right.
One of the two. Or maybe both of them. Mm-hmm. Who knows? I don't know.
I don't either. I don't even...
I mean, nobody in their right mind would have thought this is what's going to happen.
Right. And I know that cloud seeding is a real thing.
Mm-hmm.
But do you really think that he could mix a vat and it would evaporate to enough to create...
I am not a sciencey person, so I couldn't say, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, I mean, I do know that pluviculture is considered a pseudoscience now,
right,
and not something that's real, and his whole basis
right,
and knowledge was based on this science that isn't real.
Mm-hmm.
I also know that he studied weather in addition to... I mean, we've all done that science experiment in school where you make it rain in a bottle or whatever.
Yeah.
You know, so it's possible, yes.
On that scale.
Right. And cloud seeding is real.
Right.
Yes. But can he really take credit for that much rain?
Well, if they were in a drought, I'd say maybe he could.
I mean, you know, hindsight is 20/20, whatever, sure. But the weather bureaus at the time, which meteorology wasn't really a thing.
Right.
I mean, we were starting to study, but there, you know, you weren't watching the news every night to find out how to dress the next day.
Right.
The Weather Bureau at the time, which is where the darn good weather prophet quote came from, the man who was in charge or whatever said he knew what he was doing, mm-hmm. and he was not making it rain. He was setting the date for his concoction mixture based on atmospheric conditions that he noticed that the average person did not. It wasn't...
So he was a charlatan.
Yeah, it wasn't coincidence because he knew what he was doing. There was one... The city of Los Angeles actually hired him a couple of times. But one time they hired him for $4,000 and he couldn't make it rain.
There has to be a degree of difficulty in there where you're like, yeah.
I mean, right. Maybe he didn't have enough nitro.
My nitroglycerin is you know, maybe it was exposed to the sun and it's weak now.
Yeah.
It's lost its potency.
Yeah.
Or the other
salt
21.
And pepper.
Yeah. Herbs and spices.
And flour was.
Yeah. Yep. Throw a little curry in there.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you.
I don't know. Now it is a debunked pseudoscience.
Sure. But at the time, he was making money at it, and then everything flooded, and people died, and there was an inquiry for years.
Yeah, he sued the city agreed to pay him.
Right.
So we'll write you a check for $10,000. But once we do this, you're accepting responsibility for this, which puts the liability of the $4 million worth of damages on your shoulders. And he was like, no. Sir.
Because the 10,000 and the 4 million, they don't exactly jive.
That's not, not going to work.
No.
So he took them to court. And the court was like, listen, sit down. You did not make it rain. You don't even know how to rain dance.
He was not from whatever tribe does the rain dance.
Exactly. So, sit down. And declared it an act of God. Yeah, that wasn't you.
Nice try.
We all would
like $10,000, but nice try.
So, I mean, it was kind of a sigh of relief because there was the possibility that the courts could be like, yeah, you did that.
That the $4 million.
Then the $4 million.
But then he would have to come back and sue and say, they hired me to do this.
Mm-hmm.
I had, all the permission from all the powers that be within the city.
Right.
To whip up my 23 herbs and spices, throw it in a trash can, go to the top of whatever the...
One time, I think...
And just let it rip.
Right. I think in San Diego, it was the top of the sanatorium.
Well, isn't that fitting?
Yeah.
Some crazy
shit.
Yeah.
You thought he could make him... They should have kept him.
Maybe. Maybe.
But whatever.
Okay.
But whatever.
Yeah.
But it was an act of God, according to the courts. And he did not make it rain. So it was, a sigh of relief, I guess, in that he's not going to be responsible for the...
Did the city's insurance cover things? After they decided it was an act of God all these years later?
I have no idea.
Well, I mean, I'm sure the city had insurance.
I'm sure.
For their dams and for all their structural damage and all of their deaths.
I don't know, the state of insurance at that time.
Yeah. But it existed.
I know it existed, but I also know that when it was started, which would have been like the turn of the century, it was mostly fraud.
Oh.
So there was a lot of insurance fraud. It actually it was like in the panic of 1857, I believe, had bits and pieces to do with an insurance company committing fraud, taking the money and
not covering damage.
Just having a good old time making people rich, but in the end not covering any damages. So
crooked.
Yeah.
So crooked. So much corruption.
Where was I going with that? I don't remember.
Fraud.
Bad guys. Corruption everywhere.
So nothing would have been covered. Even if they had insurance and paid their premiums.
Possible, because we're 60 years from some of this stuff. So it's possible that they got things straightened out and insurance was actually insurance. But like now they don't a lot of homeowners insurance, I know, don't cover acts of God. So that could have screwed him and the city and residents.
Right.
So you never know, I guess.
No, you never do.
But yeah, lots of damage. Lots. Like the city had to rebuild.
Could you imagine a city that size? Even back then, the size of that city would have been
huge. I mean, this is after the gold rush. This is after the boom.
Mm-hmm.
That city was huge. San Diego was huge. Not like it is now, but for the time.
And think about all the houses that all the folks from the gold rush built. That were
clapboard
destroyed. All that.
I mean, some of them could barely stand up through a gentle rain.
Right.
Let alone
the destruction of...
It also messed up mining, which had already started to decline dramatically by this point as well, but it flooded some mines. around that area. So they spent.
Were there people in there?
No.
Okay.
They spent.
But then they had enough time to evacuate.
Yes. Yeah. But they spent decades getting the soil and the sand and
Could you imagine everything that washed into
getting that stuff out so they could get back to mining.
Okay. You gotta mine through all the muck to get to the rock.
It was like starting all over, I guess, basically.
Right. Yeah, sounds like it.
It was a disaster.
It was. Of epic proportions. The 23 herbs and spices did everybody in.
I am so glad that Colonel Sanders knew what he was doing with his 23 herbs and spices.
He didn't blow up his chicken.
He didn't.
He didn't flood the town with chicken.
No, he did not. No. Thank goodness.
Exactly.
And Dr. Pepper, isn't that 23 secret ingredients too?
Is it a secret or is it just 23 ingredients?
I have no idea.
I don't know either.
I just know 23.
Yeah.
There's 23. So anyway, what are we thinking?
I think that he and the city maybe have to share this.
They're both the asshole?
I think so. He did a job. He did what he was hired to do.
He did.
Yes. So maybe he's not the asshole. Maybe the city is.
Maybe the city is the asshole.
Could be.
Or maybe nobody is the asshole because the courts are right and it really is an act of God.
I don't know.
I don't either.
It's all pretty suspect. It's all right around the same time. It's all... I don't know. Maybe we will just suspend judgment for the time being.
All right.
So
I mean,
indifferent to it.
I do think that the city of Sandiego is the asshole. Just because you hired a man to do a job, he did a job, you got what you wanted,
and now you're mad because it didn't go exactly your way.
Right. You wanted a reservoir full, and it was so full,
and then some,
and
they shared with other reservoirs and things called streets and buildings.
Lots of water.
And,
lots of water. That was the goal, and he did that. So you should have paid him.
You're welcome.
There was no contract.
There was no contract.
They never
didn't
signed
have a stipulation in there that said, hey, make it rain, but if you destroy $4 million worth of property, we're going to be unhappy with you.
They didn't say that at all.
They didn't say anything at all.
Nothing like that.
No. Apparently they thought they were going to get a soft summer sprinkle. Little shower.
Yeah.
And that would be
that. That is not what they got.
That's not what they got. They apparently did not specify, don't ruin everything and destroy the city.
Right.
You got to be clear. You have to communicate.
You have to be clear.
You do.
You have to get your expectations out there.
Handle it. Handle your business. He made it rain. He made it rain too much. If he's actually the one who did the rainy thing. But, they didn't specify maybe. Give us 2 days worth of rain. They got more than their money's worth.
One of the articles I read compared culture to witchcraft.
Did they burn him at the stake? For his...
They didn't.
We discussed such things.
We do.
Salem witches and such. So he caused more damage and destruction than all of them put together.
And technically, they didn't actually burn witches at the stake.
Well, no.
In Scotland, they did. Scotland's the only place, and it was just for about 100 years. After that, they went to... Okay. I mean, the witch hunts lasted much longer, but the primary method was hanging at the gallows.
And drowning.
Drowning. That was part of, the methods to test.
Yes. If you died, then,
you weren't a witch.
You were innocent.
Well, shoot. We messed up.
Well, no, they would never say such a thing. They just said, she was innocent.
Yeah. On the plus side, you'll get to be buried in the church cemetery. If you drown.
Yeah. After you were murdered.
Yeah, after you were murdered. If you don't drown, they're going to kill you anyway.
Yes.
And then not let you lay in eternal rest with your family.
Exactly. So this guy caused a bunch of damage, but was not considered a witch.
Was not considered a witch.
More modern day witchcraft. I guess we could I mean, more modern than, Salem.
Right. But if you think about it, any kind of medicine or science could be considered witchcraft because
you're altering things
and mixing and which is what herbology was. And so anyway, there's my 2 cents about it.
Same thing. We're going to hold off, but the city is definitely the asshole.
The city is definitely the asshole.
He was doing what they paid him to do, which, you don't just want to say, he's just following orders because that's very Nazi Germany, that kind of shit, but he thought he was doing his job, I guess.
He did. And he was serious about his job. Whoop.
23 Whoop. In a trash can.
Mm-hmm.
Way up high.
Way up high.
The
on top of the sanitarium. For sure.
Not the little rain dude. Not the Hatfield.
No, and he had 500 successes.
Okay.
In other places that didn't flood.
Great. We don't want the flood.
Mm-mm.
No, just some rain.
Just a little bit.
Rain's good.
Yeah.
Just when you need it.
For the farmers and the ranchers.
Yep.
They needed it.
Yep. Undoubtedly.
Okay. All right. So let us know what you think.
Yes.
Is pluvioculture a real thing? Did he make it rain?
Maybe.
We
don't know.
Is the city of San Diego in this instance the asshole?
Could be a little bit.
Could be. All right. Come back and see us on Saturdays for Am I the Asshole Historical Edition and on Tuesdays for Superstitions and She Loves You.
I do.
I have a fondness.
She does.